I was rubbing the ambassador's belly for luck.
This is Tall Can Audio.
This is going to be a fun one, everybody. Welcome inside a brand new edition of the Tall Can Audio Podcast. Matt Robinson coming to you from our studio in beautiful Bytown, Canada. As always, make sure you're following along on social media at Tall Can Audio or on whatever podcast app you're hearing us on right now. Make sure you're subscribed. You're going to hear two voices. One's going to be a little old hat, and one's going to be kind of new. We'll start with the guy who's been here a time or two. Andy, Nita, what's happening, man?
I am... What's happening? You like immediately, like right at this moment, or what was I doing today?
I did not expect that would be the question that stumped you right off the hop here.
Yeah. No. What have I been doing? I've been doing dishes at the brewery, and carving a new stout, which I've put in the glass in front of you.
Yeah.
So I think with the we've done a stout in the past called Perfectum, but this has been a full rejig of the recipe. We've gone dry Irish stout, and I added 25 kilograms of rye malt, which will give it a bit of a spicier note and nicer.
Never been much of a math major, but that's 50 pounds, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, anyway, so maybe near the tail end of the podcast, we can do some brainstorming. Does this beer need a new name, or do we call it like Perfectum Plus?
Okay.
Or something, anyway.
Like one of these streaming services. It's Perfectum Pro, Perfectum Plus, something like that. And there is a second voice. Well, I guess he's the second voice. There will be a third voice you're all hearing today. This one, I get the impression, took maybe just a little bit of arm twisting. Bridget is here, the brains perhaps behind the Nita Beer Company. How are you?
I'm very well. I don't know if I'm the brains. Andy's got a lot of brains himself, but sometimes he's got a lot of stupidity too. So.
Yeah. See, that's fairly recognizable for any of us who've been over there a couple times. Andy told me a little bit, while we were trying to get this done, that you were just a tiny bit hesitant. Is it just a microphone thing? Not, he's often out in front on the brewery stuff. Are you just not much of a speaker?
No, I love to talk when I have substance to talk about. So happy to talk. When it comes to beer, though, Andy is the talker for sure.
Right.
So I think that's why I'm here today, is because we have a little bit of a different topic
today. We got a few
today,
things
and
to
I
touch
don't
on
like Andy talking about things that he doesn't have substance on. So that's why I said I gotta come.
Well, I'm glad you did. Follow along. We will link to the Nita Beer Company's socials in the show notes at tallcanaudio.com or wherever you're hearing us right now. You've been hearing us on the show talk a little bit now for a couple of weeks about this Friends of Craft Beer blood drive, and that's what we're going to get into here a little bit. But before we do, tell me just a little bit more about this stout, because I love the Perfectum. I'm all about the stouts and all kinds of stuff. You've had the Perfectum for quite a while now. Why the new one? What's the occasion? Is it just tinkering? Is it the mad scientist? What's going on there?
I've never done a dry stout before, and we're starting to see new clients come to the brewery, and a lot of them ask if you have something like a Guinness. So I thought, well, why not? Let's do something
as we record this the day before St. Patrick's Day.
That's it, yeah. And this will be getting packaged and kegged tomorrow morning. So this stout just came right off the fermenter for you. But no, I've never done a dry stout. Perfectum tended to be a little bit more malty, so there was more sweetness to it. And although people really enjoyed it, people would always say that I'd like something more like a Guinness. So I thought, why not? It's we'll do something unique for St. Patrick's Day and see how it lands. And but still at the same time, taking a traditional dry Irish recipe is it's hard just to not play with it. So I thought, well, I got a bag of rye sitting around.
Yeah.
What happens if I throw that in? And this is what happened.
This is the Mad Hatter. This is the Mad Scientist. Let's just see what goes on. Yeah. Is that common for you? Is it just let's try some things and see how it works out, or are you normally a little more methodical about what goes into the beer?
Generally, I'll work on recipes like a week or two before we actually brew them, and I'll play around. Like I knew I had that bag of rye kicking around.
Yeah.
We have a lot of staple beers that we're starting to rebrew, where I have done some rejigging because I wanted to shift away from American hops, and all future brews now will will be Canadian hops or
Elbows
all
up.
Canadian ingredients, or they'll be from like cool NATO partners. Like I'm still using some German ingredients, even though I don't know if we want to rearm them more than we have already. But
Nita has that power.
It's always been. Yeah, no, we can do that.
well, like I mean, you're buying Mittelfru, then the proceeds from that sale might,
I think
guns in hands, right?
in a pleasant change of whatever, Germany's on our side at this point. I think that's kind of cool too. So we can rearm them. That'll be fine.
Right.
You guys have been putting this on your social media for a little while, and I'm going to hand this to Bridget first. This idea of this Friends of Craft Beer blood drive, and I'm just a little curious, about your background, where that comes from, and what makes you guys decide to be the ones to take that first step and put this out there, try and get something going.
Yeah, so although I do support Andy at Nita, my full-time paying job is at Canadian Blood Services. So I work on the side of Canadian Blood Services that we try to help hospitals and Canadian Blood Services figure out how to connect with each other. So my job is mostly digital. However, I'm always in calls and talking about what we need to do to bring up our donor base in Canada. And I don't know if you've seen ads and things like that. We need 450 new donors every day in order to get to the levels that we need to. And there's this great program that my boss puts on, and so maybe I'll just, suck up to my boss a little bit. But it's called Partners for Life, and very easy to sign up. I signed up for Partners for Life called Friends of Craft Beer, and we can easily invite people to join our team, and then we can watch progress in terms of how many people are actually donating and how many team members we can communicate with them. So it's pretty exciting, and I feel pretty good about it. So one of the things that's really powerful about donating blood is, you're saving a life every single time, and it's easy. And I don't know if Andy recently was trying to get involved with the Green Party. It's renewable.
Oh,
so
that's true.
Pretty neat that you can mix all those things up in a Nita Beer endeavor. So
I love that, right? Because it does seem like one of those things, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, that I don't know, is it worse in the winter? Like, people stay home, it's cold, are there times a year where it's more important or it's harder to get? It's obviously never going to be more or less important, but where it's harder to get people out, and is that part of why you've chosen this time of year?
Well, I chose this time of year because I was on vacation and I had time to put the thought process together. But there are times of year, but it's not quite consistent, I would say, in terms of when the inventory levels at CBS start to dip. We are starting to see a little bit of a dip right now in inventory levels, so it's pretty good timing that we started this about a month ago and trying to raise awareness and get new donors out there. I think generally summer, when people start to go away, similar to the brewery when people don't come as often in August, people are away, so they may not be donating blood. So it's pretty important to do consistently because blood only lasts for 42 days. So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so if it only lasts 42 days, then you've got to get your donations in every 42 days to make sure you don't deplete your supply. So
this is almost a little bit like, and lots of charities have this, but like a Relay for Life, where essentially this Friends of Craft Beer is like signing up a team, right? Where, you could sign up yourself and go and do it, but you're inviting other people to do it. How do people, if they want to do this, we've been linking to your social media posts, and we have had this on ours as well. How do people get involved and join the Friends of Craft Beer side of it specifically? I know you guys are shooting for 100 donors under this particular banner.
So only 50 donations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, only 50, because originally
I'm getting greedy.
Yeah, originally we were at 10, and I thought, maybe we could stretch a little bit further.
Right.
So we're at 50 for this year, but already we've hit 34. So I'm pretty excited that we might be able to do 100, like you're saying. So I might, as soon as we hit 50, I might just pump up that goal to 100. So the easy way to do it, and hopefully we can supply you a URL, but it's just basically you click on the URL or you do the QR code, takes you to a link that you just say, I want to sign up, and that's it.
That's it, eh?
Yeah, pretty easy.
And it will automatically put you under that Friends of Craft Beer banner.
Yeah, and if you don't have an account already with Canadian Blood Services, it will ask you to create an account first, and then once you've created the account, then it will sign you up to our team. And with that, you can see the progress. Like you can see if you just tap on one of the little buttons in the app, you see this little thing that says 34 out of 50 donations. You can see the number of team members we have, and the goal is not only to get the donations in, but we want people who are donors to go out and tell their friends to become a donor, and then they tell their friends. So it's like that commercial from the 80s, and so on and so on and so on. So if we can do that, then, pretty soon we'll be hitting 450 donors a day.
Yeah,
It'd be great if we could get Doug Ford to subsidize breweries that if people donate beer, then he'll buy their first donate blood.
Yeah.
They'll donate their first or he'll pay for their first beer.
I don't mind that idea. That's better than his buck of beer idea.
I feel like I haven't had enough to drink to actually show up on your podcast at the moment.
Got to come in here in a bit of a speed wobble or something.
I think so, yeah.
Well, what has it been like, as the guy around the brewery all the time, being the front-facing guy? Have people been embracing the idea? Are there people kind of wrapping their arms around it? And, has it been much of a conversation around the brewery?
I think probably one of the more interesting conversations I've had recently is Brad from Brew Donkey he jumped on this as soon as he saw it. He signed up, and he gives plasma as often as he can, and I think that's mostly done out in Orleans area.
Orleans, yep.
And Bridget will have to correct me here. I think you can give it like every 2 weeks or every 1 week. Like you can just keep giving plasma until you go blind. Like what I did there? But I mean, you can just keep going and going. So what we've been working on, because I'm giving whole blood, I think it's April 2nd or 3rd, somewhere
April
in there.
5th.
April 5th? Okay,
Yep.
Good. For a group donation. So usually what will happen is that we have a good number of regulars at the brewery that have joined up, and they see the value in this, that they usually go at the same time that I do. That afterwards we're going to look at what our recovery period is, and then work with Brew Donkey to take a busload of people out to give plasma.
Oh, wow. That's a good idea.
We're talking with some of the breweries out in that area, that like Dominion City, who's part of this program.
Yeah.
Orleans Brewing Company's part of the program. That maybe on the return trip, you just stop in for a wee nip,
because you're kind of a cheap drunk after you come out of there, right? Like
I don't know if that's true or not. Right? Like, so when you give whole blood, you give your blood and then you walk away, right? You fill up with cookies and apple juice.
Yes.
Where with the plasma, my understanding of the process is that they take your plasma out.
No, they take your blood. They
take
everything out.
Yeah.
They extract the plasma, and then they put the red blood cells back in you.
Yeah.
Okay. And a saline solution as well, or something.
See,
like there's something that creates volume.
Yeah.
So rather than the saline solution, I would be like, maybe you just kind of just put
you want to inject your veins with beer.
Yeah, beer and red blood cells.
Oh, see, I'm in.
Right.
And yet, it's got to be on the back end. Like that blood alcohol level's got to be at 0 when you go in to give the blood.
It's
Bridget,
highly encouraged.
Yeah, for sure. I've had a kidney transplant. And so for several years, I'm exaggerating and I shouldn't. For 18 months or so, I was on dialysis. And I did used to say, on those rare occasions during those months where you would go into dialysis hungover, you'd pull the blood out, blast it full of water, and you'd walk out of there feeling pretty good, honestly.
So you're encouraging dialysis for all?
Well, the road to get there is rough. I'm not really suggesting that it's an awesome idea. But I do know that, they can kind of pull your blood out, get what they need from it, and go back in. I love the idea of the Brew Donkey tour getting involved. Everybody jumps on the bus, goes and gives blood, stops somewhere, grab a pint or two at one of the partners. Can you tell us about some of the other breweries who are involved?
So fun story. Whippersnapper, who's also part of the campaign.
Yeah.
I think it's Kitchissippi and Spark Street. Cold Bear out in Arnprior, is that where they are?
Or west a little bit.
Who am I missing? Then there's us.
Dominion
City.
Broadhead,
and OBC. I think that covers everybody.
Okay.
But I remember hassling Ian and
Bicycle.
Sarah. Oh, and Bicycle, yeah. Ferrobors.
Yep.
I'll have to hassle him also to go give blood. But I was hassling Ian and Sarah to give blood. And Ian was like, like, how many hours, like, do I need to clear the system before I can go give blood? And I was like, wow, like, I generally would stop drinking at midnight, and then my appointments are usually around like 8:30 or 9 a.m.
Sure.
And no one's complained.
Right.
So I think that you give yourself about 8 hours to clear out a little bit. You should be okay. Hydrate, have some pepperettes.
Okay, so let's talk about the proper way to get ready for a blood donation.
Here we go.
That wasn't it.
So they want you to drink lots of water, and they actually want you to eat lots of salty snacks. So it's pretty cool because you get to eat all that crappy stuff that you
Seems
shouldn't be eating.
counterintuitive. Like,
But they want the blood pressure to be pretty good.
Right, okay.
And that way your donation time, they don't want you sitting there with a needle in your arm for a long period of time.
Right.
You can look in the app once you've donated and see how long your bleed time is.
oh, wow.
Yeah, so I think Andy's a little bit faster than me, and our
pulling up the
17-year-old who
information.
just donated for the first time, he was also faster than me. So.
That means higher blood pressure, right? That's
Well, but I imagine.
just more salty
I don't want to be
snacks.
sexist, but I imagine that men might have better bleed time because they also have more volume of blood than a lot of women do. So.
That makes sense. I'm sort of curious in a more general sense, and we can kind of circle back around to this, but you guys at the Nita Brewing Company, the Nita Beer Company, excuse me, I interchange the two all the time, seem to have been very community-minded basically since the beginning. I'm sort of curious where that stems from, whether it be from the holiday craft beer calendar, initiatives like this. I do remember several years ago now there was like a spring IPA pack. You know, when you guys are sitting down and trying to decide what the next move is for the brewery, how early on in that process, as you guys are getting up and running, does it become apparent that, like, we'd like to reach out, we'd like to be community builders and try and push things forward?
Me or you, Andy?
Ooh, I'll say this. I've always been a big fan of collaborating on sales and shared marketing. Obviously, you're going to have winners and losers in that, where, let's say, a Dominion City or a Broadhead that have their 30,000 plus followers. It's great to partner with them because then you look at smaller breweries like us with maybe 10% of that audience. We benefit from that.
Sure.
But working on these types of campaigns, I think everybody wins, especially when you're giving blood.
Yeah.
But in terms of like the going to the calendar, that's good in that basically you can create some exposure for other breweries and help pump their sales and, you know, creating the sense of community, and people see that it's like, isn't it great how everyone's coming together to support each other? That I would hope that they're more likely to support all the people involved in the project that are working collaboratively together and playing nicely together.
It leaves like this positive feeling when you see, okay, I know I like Nita Beer, and now I see these people are partnering up with them for a good cause. Yeah. You know, it kind of leaves that positive residue in your memory when you see that brewery again, perhaps in your travels or your...
Yeah, I think that's one thing from the marketing perspective, but I mean, from a purely selfish perspective, having a brewery is a hard business, and you know, it just sometimes it gets you down. There's lots of stuff that, you know, you just go, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. But if you can find that little bit of positivity that keeps you going, and, you know, Andy and I have talked about it, the life experiences that Andy has had because of Nita Beer, you would never be able to have those life experiences doing anything else. So to me, especially I'm working in kind of the background, finding something that you say, you know, we need to find a little bit of love. We need to find a little bit of, you know, great things. It was January when we started talking about this, and January is a tough month for breweries. So when we reached out, everybody jumped on, and to me, that's a sign that that it's something good and people want to do good. And to me, there's love in beer.
Sure there is.
And so, you know, as I said to you before, Matt, I don't drink, but I can see the love. I can see the love whenever I go to the brewery. I can see the love in our customers when they're hanging out there. So to me, like the blood and plasma donations is really, for me, about feeling good at the end of the day.
And there really does seem to be a sense of community around the brewery. Like I went over there, was it Thursday night, Andy, and I had my little backpack with me, and I was going to be that dork who doesn't want to go to Starbucks. I don't like coffee. But I'm going to take my laptop, I'm going to go over, I'm going to have a pint, and I'm going to get a little work done. Instead, as he tends to do, Andy gets me distracted, invites me to sit down at a table of people. I don't know any of them. And yet, everybody's just sort of sitting around, shooting the shit, having a good time. And when you can kind of direct that little sense of community around people who have all showed up to be a part of, you know, just drinking a little bit of Nita beer, and you go, hey, how about next Friday or whatever it's going to be, we'll all go give blood. Yeah, all right, let's go. Andy's a little Pied Piper, gets everybody up and running. Like the community aspect of this can't be overestimated, right? Like it's...
Yeah. And you heard a great story about toes.
I did. Yeah, I'm trying to forget that story, honestly, but...
I don't need to know.
No, neither does the listener, to be honest with you. I didn't need to know, but that's the sort of thing that happens. I'm sort of curious, like, you said if you kind of hit that 50 mark faster than you expected, maybe you'll expand it out to 100. Is this something that you guys, you know, is it wait and see how it goes, or is this an idea that maybe becomes an annual sort of thing? What is the long-term goal for it?
Yeah, so the way Canadian Blood Services works is once they have their hooks in you, they're going to keep asking. So what they're going to do next year is they're going to say, listen, you hit 50 or whatever the number is. Are you going to pledge 50 again?
Right.
So yes, I mean, half the time people don't donate, and this is really interesting. People don't go and donate because nobody's asked them. So we're asking, please donate.
Yeah.
And if people, Canadian Blood Services comes to me as owner of Nita Beer and says, can you do this again? Sure. Like, this is really not hard to do. It's talking to people like you and talking to our customers, talking to other breweries. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Andy can talk. So
I do know.
Yeah. So I think we've got it under control. Yeah.
See, I really like that kind of thing. And we've mentioned here on the show, we'll mention it again to make sure people know. If you go in, you are a part of this, you go in under the Friends of Craft Beer umbrella, we will shout you out on the podcast, and we will allow you to hit us with a topic you want us to talk about, unknowledgeable as we may be on whatever you throw at us. But we want to hear from you if you're going to be a part of this. It's a really cool idea. And as you said, kind of off the top, it's a renewable source of energy, if we want to call it that. And yet it's one that we always seem to be short on, right? And I think of, whenever this conversation comes up, I think of my uncle, who ended up being my kidney donor. He also was already a blood donor. And like you said, once they get their hooks in you, I don't know what the window is, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever it is in between the emails and the phone calls start to come.
I think it's 56 for men and 82 or 84 for women.
You would say
that's for red blood cells. But as Andy said, plasma you can donate
far more often. Yeah. And, you know, once they get you, they have to keep on it because we need this, right? And you'd be better suited, Bridget, to speak to this than I would. From my understanding, a lot of our, as we enter a trade war here with our southern neighbors, a lot of our blood supply not come from south of the border?
Okay, so no, our what I'm going to call blood components. So when Andy goes to donate whole blood, that'll get divvied up into red blood cells, platelets, and plasma. Mm-hmm. That product is generally supplied by Canadians. Okay. However, if you go and donate plasma, in some cases that plasma is sent to the U.S., and I'm going to use a word here, to get fractionated. And what that means, it's manufactured into another product, and those are plasma protein products.
Okay.
In that case, these plasma protein products, Canadians only supply about 30% of the raw plasma to fill our needs. So we get 70% coming from other countries, and a lot of that is coming from the U.S. So you can imagine that in a trade war scenario, you don't know if that 70% is going to be available.
Right.
So we've got to make sure that we've got that plasma donation coming in, so we can support more patients in Canada. And Canadian Blood Services at the same time is building up our capacity to get more plasma donors. So I think the goal is something around 60% is what we're trying to shoot for. So,
are we capable in Canada of creating these other products? I believe is the phrase you used when we sent our plasma to the U.S. And are we capable of doing that here at home?
Not today.
No.
But I believe there's some work being done to bring that kind of capability into Canada, but I don't know enough about it.
Right. That's never stopped us here to talk like experts, as I suggest. But we shoot from the hip kind of show. But Andy, when you talk to the people who come into the brewery and who do get involved in this and who might be interested in like a brew donkey kind of thing, do you get the sense that it's like because it's just been dropped in front of like? I don't mean that to sound as a negative, but like it's not something that's on your mind, right? Like you're not constantly thinking I should go give blood, but like, oh, my brewery's doing this. A couple of my friends I know here are going to go do this. I'll go. Like, do people seem receptive when it's put right in front of them, or is there a little arm twisting involved? What's it look like on your end?
I would say that more than 50% of people like kind of jump at it right away. Like I can list off like a bunch of regulars right now. As soon as they said it, they're like, oh, absolutely, it totally makes sense to do this. Mm-hmm. And then you've got like the rest of the mix of people that are kind of reluctant, or they're not going to buy in, and they have their own reasons for doing it or whatever. But even when I'm going out shopping, like and talking to shop owners that I know, and I do my business with them because they're local and they're friends, and I said, hey, I need you to get on board with this, and they're like, well, tell me more about it.
Yeah.
And Fat Moose is a good example where Kent, one of the owners, got super excited about this, and he was looking at, while we were talking, he was looking at his blood type and trying to figure out how rare and valuable it was. And he ended up, I forget what the type of blood type it was, but he's like, I have like one of the most rare blood types. I should go give. And I said, absolutely you should. Yeah. But then Bridget said, no, he shouldn't.
No, I said he should donate plasma. So
yeah.
Andy's an O-neg donor. So one of the most valuable types of blood there is, because
everybody loves Andy.
He is the universal.
It's enhanced.
He is the universal donor. So he can donate to anybody, almost anybody anyway. When you get into the more specialty blood types, like the AB side, they're the universal receiver. But if you look at plasma, it flips. Okay, so O people are the universal receiver on the plasma side.
Oh, wow.
AB are the universal donor. So if you're AB, and this is not a fast rule, but if you're AB, tends to be better to donate plasma. If you're O, then it tends to be better to donate blood. But the best people to talk to are the people at the National Contact Center, and they'll be able to guide you much more than I would, but that's my general rule. Andy's very proud of the fact that he's O-neg.
A people pleaser.
Take that, suckers.
I'm O-pos, so we have one kid that's O-pos, and we have one kid that's O-neg, and we're waiting to see what our third child is. So we've got a family of O's.
Yeah, I think that is the other reason that my uncle, he was an O negative. So the universal, they were calling him pretty often, and I had B positive blood type, and I can tell you, the nurses, they could never stop giving, just B positive. Yeah. It's getting a little old, but
I think what I'm going to do for like the next round of donations, especially for the group one, is award a prize for whoever bleeds their blood the fastest. And I feel as though I'm always going to win because I'm pretty quick.
Yeah.
I think the last time I donated blood, I was like 7 minutes and like 36 seconds or whatever like that. So it was pretty quick. So when you think about how much time is this going to take you, I would say that the last time I donated blood, I was probably in and out in 40 minutes. And that's after having cookies and apple juice.
Yeah. Stuck around for an extra.
I did. I filled out a ballot. I filled out a ballot to win a Sens jersey, but I never won. So
that's fine.
I got to send an email to
some
Bridget's
of us
boss
around here don't love the Sens.
Why is this not rigged?
Yeah. No, I've talked to my co-host Rob, and we sort of suggested that he's from Peterborough. Back in the day when he was growing up, he was giving blood every Saturday nights in the Canadian Tire parking lot as people were brawling and whatever. He's like, I might as well just go in and do it a little more responsibly than that now. So I know he's interested in getting involved. As I pump the tires on this thing, as I'm obviously want to do, they don't let me give blood, right? After all the meds that you're on now because of the transplant, everybody else doesn't want those meds. So they don't let me do it, but it's hard. It takes more than 40 minutes to donate an organ. it doesn't take much time to donate blood. So I had a friend of mine, her name's Ashley, and for years after my transplant, she would go in every day on the anniversary of my transplant and give blood just as a, I had lots of friends saying, what can I do, short of a kidney. And give blood was always my answer, right? And this is an easy thing. It doesn't take much time. It doesn't take much out of you, like donating an organ would. It's an easy thing to do. And when you can build a community around it and get people involved, and like I said, here on the show, we want to hear from you guys if you're taking part in this. We're going to share the links, and we hope you'll take part in this. And we absolutely will shout you out here on the show and debate whatever topic you think we might be qualified to talk about. I am curious, sort of as we kind of move around this thing a little bit, what else is coming up around the brewery? You guys have been doing euchre nights. There's been trivia nights. How are those things coming on the community building side of it? And
what's happening tomorrow, Andy?
Well, when would this podcast get posted?
Probably not in time. I think it's going to be Tuesday morning. So
too bad.
That's fair. We could have got a plug there.
We'll still put it in.
Well,
on our
you've
socials.
missed the St. Patrick's Day party then.
That's it.
I have a couple of friends of mine and myself who came to the St. Patrick's Day party. It was rough. It was a good thing it was a Friday night because Andy sent us home late. It's a tougher deal maybe on a Monday. What else is going on around the brewery? Yeah.
So coming up, actually two fun things. So one of our staff who works Fridays, a nice young woman named Mac, she's been sort of angling to get us extend hours during the summer so that she can host more of like a Friday night dance party that she's going to organize and bring all of her friends in. So that's something that's on the back burner.
You much of a dancer, Andy? Are you?
No. It was made very clear that I wouldn't be there for those events because I'm getting to the age where it's kind of nice to be sort of sitting in the recliner and like slowly easing off into oblivion around 9 p.m.
Yep.
That's not my thing anymore. But what was fun is one of her friends who does social media for the Senate was there, and she wants to volunteer at the brewery and work on campaigns to sort of help sort of grow the brand. And I think one thing that's going to be coming up very soon is called Split the Nita. Have you heard about splitting anything?
No, I'm not
Okay,
hip.
so-
I'm not familiar with.
All right, so neither am I.
What
That's
the
why we
kids are
want
talking
to hang out with the young people. So Split the Nita is you encourage people to buy like a Nita glass,
Okay.
and then you fill it with Nita beer, of course. And then on your very first sip, and only the first sip, you try and drink enough beer that the level of the beer after you've taken that drink lands right in the middle of your logo.
Oh, I want to be.
So it's called like Split the Nita.
Okay.
And I was like, I love that. That's a good idea.
Now that you say that, I'm not sure I knew the term, but I've heard of the contest, the game, whatever you'd call it. I have, trying to. I think there was a Guinness version at some point. Speaking of St. Paddy's Day,
that was explained to me that way. So now we sound really old.
Yeah,
I think.
That's
Okay, I think
reasonable.
I know what we could do. We could make our glasses and engrave them with the Nita at different levels.
Yes.
All over the place. The
The starter level up here, the pro down a little
That's
lower.
it. Yeah.
Love that idea.
Promo day.
I am curious, like when you guys keep adding these sorts of events, the euchre night and the trivia nights, you've got the pizza oven and you're doing wings and stuff in there now. Is that about giving people a reason to stay? Like, sort of what's the mindset as you guys kind of build this place up into a little more of a hangout instead of a come and go, grab your beer and move on?
We needed a place for our kids to go to eat. So
Okay.
And we're letting the community that surrounds us and supports us pay for their food.
Yeah, seems fair.
It's the profits we don't realize. It goes into their bellies. Right? Those kids.
What is this pint we've just cracked into here?
This is Cranshaw's.
Yeah, the spruce.
That's my favorite.
Yeah?
So I brought that. So deal with it.
I got no beef with it. You're never going to hear a complaint over here when someone hands me a pint.
No, that's a tasty one. I love it.
But I think really, Andy, the stuff that we're doing is really about how do you make a brewery sustainable and not necessarily profitable, but not necessarily going bankrupt.
Sure.
Yeah, because it's been like an interesting couple of months, right? So where we've seen Shiloh go, Brew Revolution's kind of
teetering.
Yeah, they've said that they're for sale independently, or they're for sale as a package deal. So if you buy Shiloh and Brew Rev at the same time, you could get a reduced price.
Aren't there a couple out west that just like Calabogie? Didn't they partner up with?
So I was just talking with somebody who's kind of involved in that, and he was saying that basically Whitewater bought Calabogie.
Okay,
so now you're ours. And
so you're trying to create a place where people don't want to just come in and grab the beer and go. Like, if I can keep you here while you have your pizza, maybe you'll buy an extra one, while you're eating, then take your 6 or 12 or whatever it was going to be to go. Like,
maybe watch the Four Nations hockey game.
Yeah,
root for your country. Which we had an evening where we watched the final, and
turned out pretty well
for us.
Yeah,
that was good.
Yeah,
for those of us.
Who cares about those other guys?
Yeah, who are they anyway?
As long as we just keep playing that sport. I don't really want to play them in baseball or football or whatever else is going on. But
pickleball, I think we stand a good chance.
I think they're pretty competitive in pickleball.
I know a bunch of people around here who are into the pickleball. All of a sudden, I bet you 4 years ago I'd never heard of pickleball, and now
it's a thing. Like
everybody is playing pickleball.
They have a TV channel.
No way.
Pickleball.
All pickleball all the time.
TSN Ocho. People laugh. They say, like, there's such a channel called TSN Ocho, and I'm like, yeah, we get it. It's part of our Bell subscription. We watch the pickleball and other stuff.
These are deep cuts.
Oh, there's arm wrestling.
Yeah.
What was the other? There's all kinds of crazy stuff on there, but it's a lot of fun.
Darts, like, that's been on forever. People playing poker. I don't mind playing cards. There's not enough money in the world to get me to sit down and watch other people playing cards. That's just not going to be a thing for me. But have your customers been responsive to these sort of upgrades or whatever, inclusions into the?
If we look at trivia, sometimes it's like the busiest night of the week, and other times it's not. And I think it has a lot to do with your trivia topics.
The topic.
So that's something that your fan base can do, is sort of make suggestions for what would be fun trivia for them. Like the Taylor Swift one was probably the biggest night that we ever had.
See, I sent that link to my sister. Like, you want to go play Taylor Swift trivia? And she unfortunately was working at 6 o'clock the next morning, and it wasn't. But she's like, that'll get me to a brewery all the time. Like, that's the type of. Whereas I don't know anything about. I will admit, bit of a closet Taylor fan, but I don't think I would be successful in the actual trivia. But anything fun like that brings people running, right? Come on in, let's have a good time with it. And
yeah, I think that the neat thing as well with the introduction of the restaurant and the nights, we've got some new customers, which is really fantastic. And some of those customers are coming back, which is even more
even better. Yeah.
So I think it's working, and regardless of that, it's a fun place to be. And I think as Andy spends a lot of time there, you got to have fun when you're working, because it just you just got to love what you do. And as I've always said, this brewery is a passion project for Andy. So sometimes it doesn't feel so loving, but sure. I think on these nights it does. So.
Can you take us inside the story that Andy told us? He's told us a couple of different times. I don't think this is going to be too but the very first time Andy was into our studio, we sort of asked him about the history of the brewery, and essentially,
lies, you mean?
Maybe. He essentially said that
he put his foot down.
No, he didn't say that. No. He said the price of his beer drinking had become a little much, and maybe it would be cheaper if you just made your own beer. Is that roughly how the brewery started?
Yeah, there was a conversation we had about that. I'm the financial person in the relationship, and so I would go over our credit card statements, and I said, Andy, do you know how much you're spending on this? First, it started with coffee. He was a fanatic.
Okay.
Of coffee. I mean, I don't know how many hundreds of dollars he was spending on coffee. I got him converted, so he made his own coffee, right? So
Yeah.
Not a big deal.
Sure.
But then when it came to beer, and we took over the kitchen, every weekend he was making more beer in the kitchen. I said, something's got to give here. I really do not want this to happen anymore.
This can't be in our house. Our house can't be overrun with beer producing.
Well, it's not just. I think
At that time, I'm going to interrupt you, Andy. I know people don't do that. I know you're the big talker. At that time, Bridget, are you still a beer drinker? Are you, or is this just this is just for Andy? This is.
It was. I was not a big beer drinker. I was maybe had a few too many when I was in university, but not
As we all do.
Not a lot since then. Maybe a little bit when I moved to Ottawa.
Okay.
And but
yeah. Beer wasn't a passion of yours, as you're encouraging Andy to push forward.
But I love business. I love strategy. I love trying to figure out how everything comes together.
Right.
So, I think between the two of us, we're kind of yin and yang kind
Sure.
of thing. So, yeah.
You go make the product. I'll try and do the business end of the product kind of thing. And you obviously took that and ran with it.
Well, I don't know, like at what at speed I'm running. Like I'm not a gold medalist in the Olympics in terms of let's say brewery success, but I would say that I think we're seeing some success at like a C-tier curling team, maybe winning a championship amongst breweries, in the Ottawa area.
Like you guys seem to be doing this in a more sustainable way. Like you and I, Andy, have talked about this a bunch of times when you've been in here, and we always see the number of breweries in the province cropping up. And for I don't even know how long. I would ask you, if we hit that point yet, that saturation point, you can, not yet. And then there was a point a year, 2, 3 years ago. I can't remember what year. Yeah, we're there. Like it's too much, and we have seen since then. Unfortunately, because you feel bad for the people who have put their, heart and soul into their breweries, but it has started to creep back down a little bit. And so there is a certain amount of skill or, science into staying within yourself, right? And obviously that's you putting out the product that you're doing and Bridget helping, put together a business plan that if we're going to do this, here's what's going to have to happen. Honestly, it seems like, when you say we're not out here winning a gold medal in Olympic craft brewing or however you want to frame that, there is more of a self-sustainability kind of thing. How do we run a successful business? And maybe we won't be the biggest in the province, but we're going to make a go of this and it's actually going to last.
Yeah, like I feel kind of like what Bridget and I have done. We've created a successful mom and pop shop craft brewery. And I think what's made this work is passion and sacrifice, for everyone involved, not just from like Bridget, myself, the employees always putting a little bit extra, but then having a really great community of regulars that, if they see that we're behind the 8 ball and we've got to get some stuff done, they step up, they help out where they can, and, they're happy to receive like a beer or two for their effort.
Sure.
Right. It's, I think the success is, demonstrating that this is something that I love and you inspire people to become part of this kind of like craft beer movement, and they're on board. But it takes a lot of hard work. Like it's not 40 hours a week, you clock out
9 to 5 and you're done.
It's a lot of hard work, it's a lot of effort, but I mean, if I ever lose the passion for beer, like then that's when the business dies.
Yeah.
Or I die when the business dies. Which the passion for beer could be
there's a downward thought on the show here.
As long as your life insurance policy is
there you go.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, we're good.
So, in case I'm underselling it, what else do you guys have going on over there in terms of food? I said the pizza and the wings. Like it seems like you're branching out more and more every time I check your website.
Tacos?
Tacos. Hamburgers.
Oh, okay.
Poutine.
Yeah.
Especial poutine.
Yeah, poutine especial. So tomorrow, Dave Schellenberg, who's been on your podcast before, as
listeners will recognize that name from Live 88.5 and his days hosting over there.
We wanted to put together I think we're calling it Kiss Me, I'm Curded. poutine, which is, I think it's going to be, it's an Irish cheese that we're putting on with a whiskey gravy, and it's bacon and parsley. Sounds delicious.
All the stuff that keeps you like healthy and live until you're 105, right?
Yep.
Beer and cheese curds.
Just drink more beer.
Yeah, no, when we were over there a couple of years ago for your St. Paddy's Day, it was way too much beer and a bit of popcorn keeping us sustained, and it was nice to see the kitchen fire up after that because things were rough the next morning for sure.
Yeah, because you'll be at St. Patrick's Day tomorrow.
You know, I think there's a good chance.
I like it. But that being said...
And yet, we're all over the map here in terms of... This is one of the fun of things about doing podcasting instead of being live. You're all like, it's tomorrow, but it was yesterday. It's recorded now. It's released yesterday. So.
But I have to say, I want to talk a little bit about the salsa. I want to talk about the pizza sauce.
Okay.
So there is a Bridget factor in here, although I don't do a lot. Originally, the first pizzas that came out were my pizzas. Like, I love baking with dough. And so even though I didn't work at the brewery, I figured a way, working with Andy, how can we have pizzas that are available? And so we had that. Now that we've got Steve in the kitchen, the pizzas.
I remember when I was over there for my 40th birthday, you weren't there until you arrived with like the pizza for everybody.
Exactly.
Like, you were the one who took care of business for us there. Yeah.
So I would make the little bit of food, but now we can have a lot more food and serve a lot more customers. So I make the pizza sauce now.
Okay.
That's one of my claims to fame. And the other thing is I make the salsa, and oh my God, is salsa so easy to make. So anyway, it's yummy and it's like fresh and
It's like a special recipe. Any secret ingredients you're willing to share? Anything?
Tomatoes, onions, cumin, lemon juice, salt, and I've got one more, cilantro. Yeah, that's it. Blend it up. There you go, salsa.
Well, I'm curious. As
I think that's what Andy does when he brews, too.
Yeah, let's just see what that... all right, that came out good. Let's sell it. I'm sort of curious, as someone who's not a particular beer enthusiast, like, are you happy with how all this has gone? You said you are a small business enthusiast. What can we do to make this... But is it still a passion for you? Does it become a nuisance from time to time?
Oh, yeah, it's a big nuisance from time. I'm doing tax stuff right now. I hate that. But,
it is that time of year.
But it's one of those things you got to deal with the bad in order to do the good.
Yeah.
And when you find somebody, and I might be mushy here, like I found this guy somewhere in Ottawa back in 2003, and all of a sudden,
what's he like? Is he nicer than this guy?
I decided, we decided to get married. You figure out how to do stuff and how to support the people that you love, and so really it's about that. And I love that Andy gets a lot of joy from the stuff that he's doing. It's definitely not the highest paying job in the world.
No, it's not.
But at the same time, it is one of those jobs that you'll never have when you go work for anybody else. So. That's why I do it.
Yeah.
And the accounting sucks, but...
Yeah, I'm surprised that was a very positive response, considering that we're rolling into tax season, which is a whole other thing.
I can only imagine. No.
But I often tell people, and Bridget touched on it earlier, about the things that you get to do owning this type of business that you wouldn't get to do otherwise. And I think still my favorite thing... this is, I think, hard to sort of top, is becoming the official brewery of the French embassy. I don't speak French, and last year I was rubbing the ambassador's belly for luck. It was crazy, and it was such a fun thing, and we all had a good laugh about it. But when do you ever get to do that?
Well, there are silly things like that, right? Depending on what your passion is. For me, I grew up always wanting to do sports talk radio, and at some point, because of this stupid show, I got to talk to Bob McKenzie, right, who's the preeminent hockey insider. Why is that guy making time for? Who cares? Let's just do it. Let's talk. You got to meet so many cool people. You got to do some things you wouldn't have otherwise got to do, and it's just based on putting in the time, right, and the effort, and who knows where it's going to take you, and who you might get to talk to, who you might meet. It's wild, man. You guys have turned this into this thing that is now this sustainable business here in this part of town that. Before we wrap up, and we will circle back to the blood donor thing before we close, I did want to ask, I find myself I don't want to be repetitive, but I think one of the things that draws me to your business is this openness to working with other businesses and partnering and this community-minded thing. And obviously the blood drive here is a community-minded thing. The advent calendar is a community-minded thing. The spring IPA, maybe I'm talking out of my ass here, Andy. You'll tell me. I'm sure that was a thing in one of your early years.
Yeah,
you guys.
we did that.
Yeah. So
Yep.
I'm just, to come all the way back around to it, I'm not sure we've really, as Andy is wont to do, as I am wont to do, we end up off in these tangents. When you guys start this project and you decide you're going to be, is there any talk between the two of you? But like, we would like to be leaders. We would like to community build. Or is that just one of those things that happens organically as you get to meet other people in your space?
To me, it's organic, and it depends on the space that we're in when we're probably having a bit of a tough day. And so we say, what would make us feel better is working with people that are going to make the world a better place. So that's my perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially like working on projects with craft brewers, I think, and this is very selfish when I say this, is it gives us an excuse to sit down at the same table and talk about how we're going to execute on these things and have some beer that you didn't make and you didn't have to pay for, right? So it's just getting together and enjoying some pints and coming up with some good ideas to support one another and the community. So it's...
Well, let's close out by talking about the craft Friends of Craft Beer drive here that we got going on once again. You mentioned Whippersnapper, they're in, Dominion City is in, Spark is in, OBC is in, Broadhead is in. Friends across town in the craft brewing space that are pushing people in this direction. Go out, give a little blood, save a life every time you do it.
Save 3 lives if you're giving whole blood.
There you go.
There's nothing, I think, more Canadian than making a donation to...
I'm told it's in you to give. I've heard that somewhere before.
And I mean, you're saving someone you've never even met.
No.
Right?
And that is an ultimately Canadian act at this point, right? Like it takes almost no time, almost no effort. As Andy said, they'll give you a cookie and a little juice on the way out the door.
You can have like 2 packs of cookies.
If you do it through the Friends of Craft Beer, you might end up on a brew donkey tour that lands in a brewery afterwards, and nothing wrong with that either. So, just again, as we close, Bridget can kind of tell us where people can go, what people, how they can do this under the Friends of Craft Beer umbrella.
Yeah, so it's, again, pretty easy. So we're going to get a link over to Matt, and that link, if you just click on it, if you're already a blood donor, we'll just sign you up. If you're not a blood donor, it will prompt you to create an account with Canadian Blood Services. And once you're done creating that account, you're on the team.
There you go.
Team Awesome.
Yeah, it's not even the last picked. We'll keep taking whoever wants to join.
That's it. And we can push this forward, right? Like you said a little while ago. If we get to 50, why not more than 50? Let's just keep going. Let's push it as far as we can. We've gotten some good feedback around here, people wanting to get involved. So we will post that link in the show notes on whatever podcast app you're hearing us right now. Underneath the title there, where we always give the preamble of all the nonsense we're talking about, the link will be in there. Or you can visit tallcanaudio.com and click on the link for this episode. We will make sure it's there as well. Andy, I know you're always down. Not hard to get you in here. Bridget, I'm glad we finally got to do this. This is the first time getting you in here, and I'm glad you made the time for us. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. My pleasure.
Andy, you'll be seeing too much of me in the future, no doubt. And thanks for coming back, though. And certainly thanks for the pints. Anything else new coming up we should know about here before we wrap?
Yeah, I would the new OPA, which is
OPA.
It's fermenting vigorously right now. Will be 100% Canadian.
Okay, so I'm loving this.
And it's going to be in the beer stores at the end of March.
Oh, nice.
With a new label that says Made in Canada on it.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're excited about that.
And this will be, OPA's been in the LCBO before, has it not?
No, it's been in the beer store before,
Okay.
but we haven't had it in there for a while.
Okay.
But it'll be in beer stores from Ottawa down to Hamilton, where Andy's from. So Andy goes and does a run to deliver, and so
Drop a couple in Bob Cajun for me. When you're,
Nita Light will be back.
Oh, that was a crowd pleaser.
All Canadian ingredients again. We found some and this is between 3 Canadian hop suppliers. We were able to sort of massage that beer together.
Okay.
So we've eliminated all of our American content. I'm hoping we can work with Americans again in the future when they're a little bit cooler.
Yeah.
But for now,
When they mellow it.
I'm excited to see how some of these like local hops from Quebec and Ontario.
Keep an eye out for that, good listener, because Rob typically, my dad typically, not light beer people. That beer maintained its flavor, maintained some body while still getting down into that light classification, whatever you have to call it. That was perhaps the best light beer. And whatever, I'm biased. Who gives it? But that was a terrific beer. I'm happy to hear that's coming back. People loved that beer.
It was a fun one.
Yeah.
I think the biggest challenge that we have moving forward, though, is we used to use cashmere hops from a British Columbian hop farm, and unfortunately they closed.
Oh no!
So now, I thought that their cashmere was unbelievable. So now I have to find a way to fill that gap. So if your listeners know of any cashmere, Ontario, or Canadian hop farms, they need to send that information in. I need some of those. So
give your blood, give your cashmere hop recommendations, and we'll be happy to hear from you. Really appreciate you both coming in on a Sunday night, making a little time. It's a great initiative, as I've said a few times on the show. One of the things I love about the brewery is that you guys are community builders, whether it be on a beer front, whether it be on some of these other initiatives. Awesome to be friends with. Wow. Getting fat-tongued here as we roll on out. Awesome to be friends with you guys. Awesome work that the brewery has done, and I really appreciate you both coming in. Thank you so much.
The hell is that?
Number one bullshit. Oh, number one bullshit.
Why are you so pissy?